Hi, it's Mike from Mike's Diabetes World. I just wanted to do a little intro here before we start our videos. And I want to say that don't start any treatment before you speak to your doctor. I am not a doctor. I've only speak from my experience, which could be different from your experience. So speak to your doctor before beginning any treatment. He may agree with you, or he may say, I think we have something better. Talk with you later. Have a good day. Bye. So, welcome back to part 2 of illnesses and infection. So, we talked about prevention, possibly wearing a mask during flu and cold season, washing your hands, help prevent infections, but you can also make sure if you get a cut on the foot or any cut anywhere, just make sure it's cleaned and possibly put a covering over it. Now, one of the worst infections I got on my fingers was I was playing with a cat and got a cat scratch. And there's, kind of where you've done it and it hurt. And it was on this finger, or these two fingers. And, I went through the day, I did my normal things. Went to bed, woke up in the morning, my finger was red. It was beet red. And I felt that it was warm. So I thought, oh, okay. So, I cleaned it with alcohol. It wasn't open. Nothing was open at that point. And I was fine with it. And I went through the day. And then came back and it was bright red. And since that time, I kind of hope I don't get infections. Now, that doesn't mean I go through and I don't get any infections. But when you get an infection, a simple thing is stubbing your toe. You want to make sure you clean the area. Put on some sort of antiseptic. People put on polysporin, but I'm not telling you which one to do. And keeping it clean will help stop bacteria from entering and growing. Because once it gets hold of you, it just loves to multiply. I ended up halfway up my arm. And finally, I went on to IV antibiotics, which is a pain. You kind of have to go to the hospital. I think it was on twice daily. And you get filled up with antibiotics, and then you go home. And then after that, you're on regular antibiotics, regular pill taking, and your blood sugars are doing this. Or they're spiking. You know what? For control, it's hard enough. Just don't try to stay away. Now, if you get an infection, if it starts going red, go to the doctor. If it's red and hot, chances are it's infected. Now, when I started using the pump, I had an infection. And luckily enough, I had a diabetic nurse, diabetic educator. No, it wasn't my doctor. And she took a look at it and, got a hold of my doctor, and I started. But I thought, oh yeah, it's going to go away. So if you're using the pump, there's chance for infection. There's chance for infection all over us. and we need to stop it. So what, if you get an infection, get it taken care of. If you get a cut or any sort of opening in the skin, clean it and cover it. Don't let bacteria in. There's my 3D effect. You like the 3D effect? So, if you get ill, and I kind of mentioned this in the last video, if you get sick, don't play around with it. You need to at least speak with the doctor. I'm lucky that my doctor, all through COVID, was seeing patients. And you know what? A lot of times she was able to curb it before it got too far. Now, my leg was sort of big, sore, and red. Back to infections, we're talking about illnesses. Last illness I had was start off with the leg. And thinking back, as soon as my legs started getting bigger, I should have gone to the doctor. But oh well, you don't really notice it until one day a worker says, "Oh, your leg's big." Oh yeah, okay. But I ended up in the hospital with that, and it ended up my stomach was just complete. Let's say I was on the toilet quite a bit. Now, I think it's important to know, there we go. If you end up being quite ill, where you can't do anything for yourself for more than a day, head to the hospital. If you start throwing up, go to the hospital. Don't be one of these people that, oh yeah, I just want to sleep. Because yes, sleep is going to be easy, but you're going to end up in more trouble. Now, the big thing with illness, you may be sick and don't feel like eating. You've got to take your insulin, whatever form, whether it be your pump, your syringes. It's important that you do it, because if you don't, you're going to be in DKA, you're going to be, and it comes to a point where it can be life-threatening for you. So don't let it happen. Diabetics need to be proactive. As soon as something is not feeling right, or has progressed more than that, get help. Now, a lot of times that could turn into hypochondria. Oh no. But if your fingers start feeling warm and starting to get a little red around the nail, don't wait. Get treated. If you are a brittle diabetic, yay for brittle diabetics, you want to ensure that you can do what is needed. You may need to go and the doctor will say, we'll put some polysporin on it. Or, it looks serious enough, we're going to start antibiotics. So you don't end up in the hospital. 2004, was it? I was on my pump, an older pump, a really older pump at that time. And just after Christmas, I believe it was. I didn't spend Christmas in the hospital, but I got the flu, and I got the flu bad. And yes, I was throwing up, and, I had the temperature, the whole thing. And I went to the hospital after speaking to my diabetic nurse. We were going over what the pump was doing, and I said, well, I'm starting to revisit every meal. And I was sent to the hospital. I just got in my chair and wheeled over. Later, I learned they were aghast that I did that I should have called an ambulance, but whatever. I get there, get checked in, and I only had to wait, I don't know, maybe 30 minutes. And I was taken in. They did a blood sugar on me, and they were really concerned at that point. My blood sugar was quite high. They did the urine test. They found ketones. Ketones came back in my blood. And I was thirsty. I could... If you're a diabetic, you know what I'm talking about. And I just wanted water. That's all I wanted. And I started to feel sick. And I remember I wanted to sit up in my bed. And I sit up, and everything came out. Oh, I made quite a mess. I felt sorry for the people who had to clean it up. And to this day, I don't know who you are. Probably will never know, but I want to thank you for that. And I started the treatment, and they just couldn't control my diabetes. I think I was there 9 months. But, eventually you get out of the hospital. And since then, it's been more of a targeted approach. So, be proactive. Do what you have to do to make sure illness doesn't strike, infections don't strike. You need to be 100%. Now, I hope that kind of adds a little bit more light. If you get ill, go to severely ill. I'm not talking, I've got a migraine, I gotta go to the hospital. But you want to ensure that things work. Anyway, hope that helps. And remember our saying, and I don't know who started this, but it works to a T. Don't let diabetes rule your life. Actually, sorry, don't let diabetes control your life. You control diabetes. Have a great day. Talk to you later.